If you're going to watch it with someone, make sure that person is silly, like you.
I say, trust your waffle.
Yeah, trust your waffle.
Trust your waffle.
Really?
So say no, no. Hello and welcome to the first episode of Trust Your Waffle. My name is Chloe, also known as Doozy, and I'm recording from Southern Hemisphere in Melbourne, Australia. And recording with me from the Northern Hemisphere is artist, writer, director, and student Hajuba from England.
Hello.
Hello. So this is our first ever episode of Trust Your Waffle for the pilot, if you will. So basically, Kyle and I are students and we're in love with writing and storytelling, and especially through digital mediums. And we met when she exchanged over in Australia, and I guess we matched each other's vibe. And so I suggested we should do some sort of like pen pal thing where we can keep each other updated on our artistic endeavors, our galactic endeavors. And so then we thought, let's do a podcast and talk about things that are inspiring us and what we're working on. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, thank you. It's wonderful to be here today. I am busy. This is one
Yeah.
thing that I think the listeners will tap into quite quickly, is we are both quite active individuals as far as projects are concerned. Right now, I am working on my dissertation because I'm in my third and final year of my bachelor in journalism. So that has been, yeah, it's been keeping me busy. So I've been working on that alongside a few other things that I'm excited to talk about today.
We'll get to later. I'm so excited. And so what part of England are you reporting from? Like the middle, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it depends on who you ask. People from the south
Yeah.
think I'm based in the north. People from the north think I'm in the south. Yeah, I am currently calling from Lincolnshire, which is in the Midlands. So it is very much, geographically speaking, it's pretty much in the middle.
I guess I kind of introduced you, but what do you call yourself? What's your like aspiring career goal?
Ooh, good question. So I do have aspirations, I have goals. I am currently, of course, a student, but then again, I really enjoy making films, making anything that is related to storytelling, whether it be through the medium of video or audio. Currently, I mean, my end goal would be being able to write, direct, and produce. If I can do those things, I would be a very happy lady indeed.
Yeah.
Particularly, yeah, if it's those things in the film industry, I'm particularly interested in docudramas right now and the positive impact it can have. And I'm also interested, of course, in in podcasting and things along those lines. So yeah, I want to be a boss lady someday in
Yeah.
these industries. That's the goal.
Oh, I love that. And so your main medium you think is like film.
I would say it's 50-50 between filmmaking and all things audio. Probably more audio lately, but that's just because I
Yeah.
haven't begun university yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Sweet. And then I guess I'm a user, writer, but I'm actually doing my master's in international development. But I love media, I love storytelling, I love fairy tales, and I guess long term I want to maybe do a docuseries myself, finding all those little niche fairy tales and stories and wisdom that are in all of our lives across cultures and people. And I always find it quite fascinating. The stories that we tell ourselves reflect kind of the universe that we live in. So yeah, UNESCO for listening. Please hit a go up. And then maybe when I'm down the line, we'll have all the funding in the world and we could collab on a film of some sort. That would be amazing. Oh, let's talk about how we chose the name Chop Your Waffle because we were talking about the name for a really long time. And you said this. And so where does the origin of Chop Your Waffle come from?
So, oh gosh, trust your waffle came from a place of pain. Basically, I think sometimes, and this can happen a lot with folks in the media industry, you spend a lot of time putting yourself out there, and it can be quite a vulnerable place to be in. And there can be elements of self-doubt that creep in. Did I say the right thing? Was this the best uh, representation of myself? Did I go on talking about this too much? Those sort of elements of being in the media industry certainly can be felt. And I know not just for me. I was in the middle of, I would say, a journalism block, probably really jet lagged at
Oh,
this
yeah.
time, which didn't help. And I
That's
was
such a
struggling.
classic girl thing to do. Like, I'll be like, oh, why am I so upset? Or why are things not working? And then I'm like, well, did I eat a meal? Have I slept 8 hours? Have I drunk water? And then I'm like,
Yep.
oh, yeah, probably.
Have I traveled across continents from the southern
Oh,
hemisphere to the northern
oh.
hemisphere?
The travel to Europe from Australia is
Absolutely. That was me in where was I? San Francisco on the way back. I had something like an 8-hour layover, and
yeah, not fun.
really the whole thing was just a challenge of let's try to stay awake. And all that I had to occupy myself with was overpriced food and drink. So
Yeah.
it wasn't the greatest
Uh,
time. And when I arrived, I was in something of a journalism block and I had to go on radio. So I was really excited about this opportunity and it went well. I would say it went
yeah.
well. But afterwards, I was worrying. What if I said the wrong thing? What if I didn't present myself the way I should have? And what came to mind was this one phrase. I've never heard it anywhere else before, unless I've accidentally plagiarized this. I'm pretty sure it's a Cara original, and that is trust your waffle. It hasn't found me much in the past, so I don't know why I thought it might have in this one instance, and it didn't. I just needed to trust it. Trust the
Oh,
beat, the
it's
words
just,
that
ever since
come
you
out.
mentioned it, I'm like, I've been using it in my everyday life. I'm like, yeah, trust your waffle. Just trust it'll work out. Like, it's actually like helped me every day today.
Yeah. And I think when you don't overthink the things that you're saying, I mean, obviously a level of consideration and thought needs to go into any any words, but I think when you don't overthink things, it becomes so much easier to approach them with confidence, with a sense of peace and calmness, and that's at the end of the day, that's what's going to help you trust your waffle even more. It's a
Mm.
wonderful, yeah, I do like that phrase, not gonna lie.
Oh, and so every week, or every episode, I should say, I want to bring a little poem or passage because I am an avid reader and literature nerd. This week, I thought I would start off. This is our first episode. I would bring the first example of a author. So the first named author that we know of, from ancient Rome, and it's a woman, which is like. So when I found that out, I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. So her name is Indra. So she's a priestess and a poetess. So she's a bit of a Nepo baby of her time. And yeah, she's the first recorded known named author. And she's from the year, I think it was, what is it, 2300 BCE. So I know, like, sometimes when people tell me dates, I'm like, that does not make sense to me. Like, it could be anywhere from like cave people or dinosaurs to hunter gatherers. But for context, this piece was originally written in cuneiform. She lived in a city called which is modern day South Iraq. And this is what scholars call the Old Kingdom of Egypt. The Pyramid of Giza was built 250 years prior. So if we like place that today, that's like when America became independent. And it was also 250 years ago, Jane Austen was born, which I thought was a fun fact. And this is before the alphabet. So and cuneiform, so pretty to look at. And then kind of the first official like poem is kind of said as the Epic of Gilgamesh. Have you heard of that one?
Rings a bell in the back of the
Yeah.
mind.
Most people have kind of like heard Epic of Gilgamesh is the first poem ever written and recorded, and we have like the majority of that entire story. So that was like 500 500 years still to come. So it's in this really nice sweet spot of like academia and writing and communication is starting to happen. So yeah, this is a short skin and it's about birth. And she's talking about like the birth of writing. Like she's writing to her God. So yeah, this is En Hudwana, the exhalation of Inanna, lines 135 to 140. And it goes like this. So, my lady beloved Anne, I will sing of your wrath. I have piled up the coals, I have performed the ritual. The holy inn is ready for you. Will your heart not be reconciled with me? As my heart was filled, overfilled, Lady Queen, I gave birth to it for you. That which I sang to you at night time may Gala repeat to you at midday. And I thought it was just so beautiful, but also really funny kind of trope that writers love writing about writing. And that's what this whole passage is of her being like, oh, I've laid it out, I've done the ritual, I'm going to write you these beautiful poems.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And I love that we have one of the first instances of writing to known history, and that it is a woman, because there was a long period of time where women, I think particularly in sort of Western literature and the origins of Western literature, were very much, they were not permitted to be the authors. It was the husband's names that were on their books. So this is
Crazy.
fantastic. She sounds like kind of a cool princess, not gonna lie. She really does. Yeah, absolutely. And it is
Right.
true. Like, it is such a cliche that writers love to write about writing, but I mean, writing in itself comes from a place of creativity, from passion, and it feels like here she's paying homage to the where she feels that originates from, which is very real for a writer. So yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. I feel a little bit more educated.
Yeah, and I like find all these little things and I write little notes. I'm hoping this podcast will help me be like, oh, that's really good. I'm gonna like mention that. But yeah, so I mentioned this as one of my inspirations of the week. So I just finished a book called I just finished a book called The Library of Ancient Wisdom by Dr. Selena Wisdom. And so this book is actually really, really, I think is really accessible. And what this book talks about is libraries and scholars and the people that kings like funded, and how important they were to some kings and priests in this kind of ancient old Egyptian kingdom, because knowledge keepers. And I think it's like so important when you think about today, like because we have this so much disinformation and we had too much information at the moment, whereas back then they were just trying to get the information down in the first place. Um, and yeah, it's a really accessible read. And she talks about the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Iliad. And I wish I had read this book before I had read a book that was all the Mesopotamian myths, because they were so hard to read. Like they take a long time. You have to reread. You can't like understand, and then you're flicking because they're like they say a random thing. And you're like, what is this thing? So then you have to flip to the footnote to be like, oh, that's a stick, and then go back. So I wish I had read this earlier. She also talks about like the political, social, and cultural context of these writings, which I think is like also really important because how, again, what I was just saying at the beginning of the podcast was like the stories that we tell ourselves, and tell our kids and our community will shape our perception of everyday life, and how we communicate and how we knowledge. So yeah, so that's what's been inspiring me this week. What's been inspiring you this week? Or what are you obsessed with this week?
What I'm obsessed with. Okay, so I've got two things prepared for today's discussion. The first thing is just a rant. The other thing is a quote that I had. It's not by anyone particularly well known. I don't think he even has a Wikipedia page. But he's a former lecturer of mine, and I was speaking to him a lot about the students that he's seen come and go, and I asked him what's the difference between those who make it and those who don't, particularly in regards to film and writing. And he basically he said a lot, but he summarized it as follows, where the difference is in the doing, where you can want to be a writer or you can be a writer. Yeah.
Sorry, I got too excited. Can you repeat that again? The difference is in the doing. Say
The
that.
difference is in the doing, folks. Take this as a sign. Go and get to that project that you've been wanting to get to and actually make it happen. I mean, look, we all have busy lives, and it sometimes feels a bit frustrating that the path to where we want to get to is so far ahead. But it is making those choices day to day that turns you from someone who wants to be, say, a writer to someone who is a writer. You might not have a book out there, but so long as you are putting the effort in making it happen, that makes you a writer. So, yeah, that was one quote I wanted to bring in. The other thing that I'm obsessed with right now, and this is such a girly thing to be obsessed with right now. It is the K-pop Demon Hunters film. Have you seen it, Chloe?
Horrors into K-pop.
Okay, I have never seen K-pop before. I've seen clips and I love the vibe. But I've never really had like an opportunity to watch something like that. And K-pop Demon Hunters is now on Netflix. It is the most watched film on Netflix of all time, as far as I'm aware. And it
Time.
of all time, I can fact check this.
That's
Like,
that's ridiculous. Like that's next level. Like this is post COVID. This is after the Tiger Man.
yeah, it.
Wow.
Oh gosh, I remember that. Yeah.
I even watched it actually. I feel like a bad pop culture girly. But oh, I got to look like your favorite bit, the animation, the song, the
It's really
storyline.
just so beautifully done. I do like the music, actually. It's
Yeah.
like proper goosebumps.
I've really heard the music. I haven't actually seen it yet. I just know about it. And I was with my nieces on Monday, and it was like end of day, 45-minute dance party, listening to all the music.
That sounds like
It's really fun.
a really cool aunt. Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
It is a really well put together film, actually. It's cringe, just to put it out there. It is cringe, but I think there's nothing wrong with cringe. I love
love-
cr I used to hate cringe so much. Like it used to genuinely curdle my soul. But now it does the exact same thing, but for whatever reason, I really like it.
Oh, I love cringe comedy, and
Yeah.
I love. This is one thing I'm realizing is like I'm rediscovering all these things I used to be obsessed with when I was younger, but then you go through the teenage phase of like shedding your like childishness, and you're like, I'm gonna be an adult and blah blah blah, and then you become an adult, and then you're like, I hate this, I want to go back, and then you gotta rediscover all those things that you love.
And even healing their inner child. It's really, I don't-
We all have inner child that need feeding sometimes, and just like need a little cuddle and like those warm feels. But yeah, no, oh my god, that's so great. I love that you love K-pop Demon Hunters because it's like an anime, but it's like that new style of anime, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the animation style is, I mean, the studio's Sony. Sony has been really creative with its animation style in the past, and it's definitely making a name for itself in this type of animation where the frame rate changes. So there are moments where the 3D animation feels very much like 3D animation, and there are other moments where it's a bit more jittery, and then you get drawn into the more 2D realm, as opposed to 3D. So it's very clever from that perspective, and it is similar to anime. I've never really watched anime. I think my brother was obsessed with the Pokemon series when he was younger, so I would watch some of those. But yeah, but as a whole, wasn't much of a fan. But
Pokemon for
oh
me
gosh,
that I did when I was little. That's cringe. So I didn't understand hair when I was little, and I remember I wanted to be Misty because I was obsessed with Brock, and I was like, I want to marry. And he's obsessed with Misty. So I was like, after being Misty, I loved her red hair. And I didn't understand how the hair drawing worked and like having hair layers. So then I made my mum one put half my hair like now, but do a pig.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the photos of Misty right now, and I'm thinking, what happened? No, where's this going?
So I pulled it out when we got to school going, you look like an idiot. But I was like, I want to be Misty.
That's
My favorite
fantastic.
Pokemon.
Yeah. I mean, look, it is a fun show. But yeah, no, K-pop Demon Hunters, I would recommend because if it's yeah, it's cringe, but it's a really good film as well. The writing is great. And I think there are a lot of layers to it where you can apply certainly elements of the story to other things as well. It's not quite like, you know, an allegory for anything, but it can be translated as that. And I think everybody has their own interpretation of what these sort of things mean symbolically for them. Yeah, no, it is really good fun and I would recommend. But be sure to watch it. If you're going to watch it with someone, make sure that person is silly like you.
All right, this is part two. We had to split up our recording because we had other commitments. So this side of the podcast, we're going to talk about some of the projects that we're working on. It's so exciting. So this week we're going to highlight Tara's, is it your debut radio play?
Yes, this is the first ever radio play. First one I've ever written. I was just lucky enough that it was accepted in a competition. So, yeah, this was the first one, the original.
Yeah, the Strike the Chord is what it's called.
Mm.
Do you want to talk about it, what it's about, and then tell us how you came to the idea?
Yeah, so Strike a Chord is a very short audio drama. It's about 9.5 minutes long, and it is set in something of a dystopian apocalyptic era where music is the safest way to communicate. So, from an audio point of view, it is interesting to listen to. The folks who did the recordings and the sound effects did an incredible job. I've got to say, so kudos and credit to them. Yeah, so it's about a story about a young individual, a young woman. She's looking for a sanctuary with her dog. Thought I'd throw in a little bit of a canine companion in there.
Yeah.
And she comes across this mysterious individual in the midst of what is a very dangerous and threatening environment and situation. So it's a discussion on communication and trust. It is, yeah, it's a fun, interesting one. You got to suspend your disbelief somewhat, but it was great fun to
And
write.
the voice, the female voice lead was incredible. Like,
He did
so I
amazing
was so
job.
impressed with her.
Yeah, and she should be really very chuffed. I actually did reach out to her. I had to do a little bit of Googling to find the individual. And yeah, she sounded pretty much exactly how I voiced the character. Now, since I acted in my last timeline film, my last short film, I have really learnt the importance of reading your scripts aloud. I knew that it was important beforehand.
Yeah.
I think I underestimated just how important it was. So I was reading aloud the audio drama sort of quietly to myself. And in my mind, I sort of always imagined the main character as either having an American accent or an Irish accent. Don't know why.
That's what I was, okay. I was also confused because I was like, you've written this in Australia, it's getting produced by an Australian
Yeah.
person, but
Mm.
then you're British and then she's got an American. So I'm like, is she putting on an accent? Like, where did you find this kid?
I didn't find her. I wasn't involved in the casting process, but they really did an incredible job. I think she's actually she's a very brainy individual. I can't remember what it is that she's studying, but it isn't drama. You would think it would be because she is very talented. And there's another individual who is the voice actor of the mysterious individual, and I was so sure he did a British accent. I don't know if it was very British or because my sister was like, that sounds Australian. I was like, no, that sounds British. But anyway, it was British in my mind. And so I loved the international vibe that the different voice actors brought in. And yeah, as someone who is from England, I don't know if that was an inspiration where it was a case of, look, the writer's from England, so let's throw in one British character in there. Why not? But yeah, they did do.
Brody won't probably let me know and I'll practice my British accent. I'll just my grandma and mimic her. Uh,
Mm.
and I'll get my British accent up and I'll get it. But it's interesting you say about reading it out loud, like especially with radio plays. Like I remember when I was at drama school, I went to Howard Fine in Melbourne, and yeah, one of the exercises was like getting a short bit of script and just saying the words in weird ways, like again. And we did that for like half an hour, just going over these words, and you would just be like, "Bye bye, days," and like putting emphasis on different things just so then it became nonsense.
Yeah.
Because when you, and I guess the theory behind it is when you're on stage and doing a thing, everything should be newly alive. And
Mm.
you need to export this entire range so that you can really pinpoint how to react to your partner in the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
so
that does sound
important.
great fun. I tell you what, I wouldn't mind an opportunity to come further down the line where I can actually act alongside someone else. Because I think that must be great fun to be able to bounce off another individual. When I was acting in my previous film, which was, I'll say this now, was not the original plan. The original plan was to get someone else qualified in to do the role, but there were technical difficulties, time was running
Yeah,
out.
for the introduction.
Yeah.
The next once I've got a few scripts that I'm working on,
Yeah.
and I'll send it over to you. Maybe you can practice your acting chops on that one.
Yeah,
You
well,
do an Australian accent after being here for a few months.
semi. It's yeah. I can't think about it too much, but the Australian accent is sort of like near the back of the throat. You do all the pronouncing.
Oh,
Um, British though is more in the mouth itself, sort of like top of
well,
the lips, and you really need to keep everything quite uptight. Um,
yeah, but
and
that's
then
where
of course,
it comes from as well. Because I remember in
yeah.
high school, I would interchange between off and off, like I'll turn the lights off or
Mm.
turn the lights off. And I remember someone was like, stop saying off, like say off. Like I've heard you say off before, but it was like I lived with my grandma from Liverpool at the time.
Oh yeah, that'll be it.
And so when you're around your maternal people, you just mimic them.
England is such a small island, but we've got so many different accents. You've got the sort of southern accent, which is one that I have because I
Mm.
spent most of my childhood, in Orpington near London. And if I if I'd been from Edinburgh, this would be an entirely different sounding conversation.
Oh my God. What about the Glaswegian accent? Oh my
No,
God.
I
I
don't. I
can't
can't.
understand people in Glasgow that I at a train station and I was like, oh, where do I go for this platform? And the guy said it and I was like, I'm sorry, where do I need to go? And he said it again and I just had to be like, thank you, and walked off and had to find someone else.
Yeah, and if you get on the wrong train, it's just to avoid social embarrassment. Yeah, absolutely. I used to have a neighbor who was, I think, from the Glasgow area, and his accent was so thick. You couldn't even, you needed, I don't think AI even would have been able to decipher what was being said there. And it gets to a point where you just smile and nod and go, yeah. And you really hope you didn't say something super depressing. You know, you smile and you nod and you're like, oh, that's great. And you just, please don't tell me you're talking about your dead wife. You know, it's a tricky situation to be in. Yeah. But interestingly enough, I mean,
We're going on a tangent.
yeah.
Sorry. All right. We're
Okay.
supposed to be talking about your amazing radio play.
Yes, my amazing radio play. That was fun. That was good fun,
Okay.
actually.
But I think we're talking about it as much as we can without any spoilers. But the second
Mm.
question I had about it was just like the music. Is it a harp that she plays?
It is called a kalimba, which honestly, it looks like such a cool instrument. I don't even know how I came about the existence of a kalimba. I put it in the script that it would be a kalimba. I do not have the musical expertise to write. Yeah, it's like a finger piano, but instead of keys to make the sound a piano makes, it's like a chime, and it sounds beautiful. Hauntingly beautiful, kind of scary, and that's the vibe I was going for. So I did say specifically I wanted it to involve a kalimba. But as for the music, I did actually reach out to the director and editor, and she clarified that it was free music. She found that she was able to use
Like royalty free.
yeah
Google.
something along those lines. And I thought, wow, that's great. I would never have thought that. I genuinely thought, okay, there was someone really clever behind the scenes here putting it together. And look, it is very clever nonetheless. But yeah, the music wasn't composed specifically for this play. It was just found on the great Google.
Great. Interwebs. Love it. Oh, no, it was so great. Yeah. Well, I had 2 points of constructive criticism for you. One is what I can't even mention that I'm really down about for you doing, and how dare you do this?
How dare I do this? I feel, yeah, people will know what you're talking about if they've listened to it.
When they listen to it, but you are a heartless person.
I'm sorry.
When that happened, I was like, how dare you?
Okay.
Um,
Can I respond to the first point of criticism though? Okay, so firstly, I wanted to subvert the standard, which is often to avoid that thing. But then I had issues processing it myself. So afterwards, or sort of during the writing of that moment, in my mind, this is a continuous story and part of a much bigger world. I would have imagined there would be another individual among a certain crowd, which shows itself closer to the end, who would have been able to help the situation and thus amend the issue at hand. I am yeah, this is not part of my character. I do not condone the actions closer to the end. In fact, I don't know. But no, in my mind, I'd imagine that there would be someone to help out in that situation and amend what happened. That was the way I was able to write it and sort of process that which I have written.
Okay, without giving away too much. My second criticism you just addressed also was like how you built this entire world in like 9 minutes. I was like, I want more. Like I was listening to it, and I think I was like in the kitchen doing something while I was listening to it, and then it just ended, and I was like, "What do you mean? Is that it? I want more. Like, tell me more. What is happening?" So I'm glad that you say this is part of a bigger world, because I definitely want more because I was so shocked.
Yeah, I know. Look, I had a sort of a list of criteria to fill out, and one of that was under 10-ish minutes. Well, 10-ish minutes was like the ballpark. Yeah. So I did have to limit the story somewhat, but in my own mind, certainly it is a part of a bigger story altogether. And I was speaking about this with a friend of mine who was also listening, and she picked out a point. And it was a point that I realized I sort of developed in my own mind, but I because this is part of a bigger story, you can't really go forth and explain absolutely everything. I mean, no one wants to listen to an exposition dump. So I tried to make it as natural as possible, but it did mean that there were moments you'd go, well, why is this the case? So I'd give a little bit of backstory, and I was like, oh yeah. So yeah, these things do certainly act as a smaller piece in a bigger puzzle. And there are moments in there, like, if I can talk about one point that a friend pointed out, which was that the main character, she is called Acosta, and it starts, the audio drama starts with her saying, you know, she's never heard it said nor spoken it aloud. But later on the line, she's speaking. So this friend asked, well, how does she know how to pronounce words? And in one of the earlier iterations of the script, people could sing. They could sing and they could still not be understood by the enemy because it is in a melody which they cannot decipher. And really cool. So, yeah, it's quite fun. But then I also thought, I'm going to make this a whole lot more difficult for people if I then expect individuals to sing. And
so I sort of got rid of that. But in my mind, it still exists where people can sing, perhaps more so for those important moments where they really want to communicate something clearly and with emotion, with heart, and with intent. So in my mind, this character had heard her name sung, and so I suppose after that would have then asked, what is the difference between singing and speaking? To be told that speaking is singing without the melody.
That it's really interesting you say that, because what I'm thinking about is like, because I did some I did some linguistic subjects, and one like side phenomenon is like people who have lost the ability to talk after like a traumatic injury or whatever. They relearn how to talk through singing.
That's so interesting.
And they scared the brain, and it's actually activating a completely different part of their brain as well. Like so it's so interesting you say that, because I can already start saying, oh, I can see science explaining something in this sci-fi universe that you've started working on.
That is awesome. I love that. Yeah. I'm going to pretend I knew that before writing the script. It was entirely intentional. Of course I knew that. No, that is really very interesting. And you know what? I love the idea as well of singing, of creativity being able to evade what is essentially a very oppressive system. The larger world of this story is, I think, one of rebellion through creativity and being able to, like I say, evade sort of these schemes of oppression in a way that these structures don't understand, and that is through song, that is through sound. And not to get into this whole thing, but I was writing the script and thinking this actually has a lot of parallels with the modern world and its relationship with AI. I do think, yeah, there's a lot to explore there. And I've got to say, it took me by surprise. Sometimes you write something and you've planned it out for months and months and months, and the finished product itself doesn't necessarily feel like it does the original idea justice. But then there are other moments of spontaneity, and I was entirely spontaneous in writing this. I mean, I really didn't expect anything to come of it. I didn't even give it a title, but I loved the story and I loved the world building and the concepts. I haven't written a thriller to be made for a while. A lot of my ideas come from thriller, the genre. Well, I mean, it's because most of my ideas do come from dreams. This one, not so much. But yeah, there was a period of my life I had
Do you have a dream journal?
I used to. Now my dreams do not make sense anymore as such. I think when I was younger, I had a better sense of narrative when I was sleeping because, yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I was basically a very anxious individual, and this built into my dream world, my dream life.
Oh my gosh, love it. All right, and we'll add that. We'll link it at the bottom in the notes so people can go listen to it.
Yeah.
It's available free. It's free to listen to it and everything, isn't it? And it was part of Darebin Fuse Festival. So Darebin is a small little suburb. It's not suburb, sorry. County.
I'm not the Australian here. You should be the one qualified.
I should know as well, Lee. But I was trying to be open to the international platform that this podcast will be on. So
No, it's great. The folks there at Darebin produced it alongside La Trobe University. It was sort of a collaboration, and they opened up the platform basically for people with script ideas to submit, and I was one of them, and I was a lucky one because I won, certainly. Very happy about that. So yeah, no, I would give credit to those folks, and Noel Maloney, who is was my screenwriting lecturer back in Australia, who let me know about the opportunity. I was really grateful for that.
all right. Well, so the next thing is talking about we're highlighting your project this episode. That I'll talk about what my work in progress, or
Yes.
Yes.
Which I didn't realize you didn't know the word whip. I thought that was like a generic artist term. So that's why I typed it.
It
kind of
might
with
be.
whip.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, no, I didn't hear about it, but that could then again be my own ignorance. So,
Yeah. Maybe, I
um,
don't know if it's an Australian thing, maybe. Like, I know we're good
I
at
need to Google it.
shortening everything. Actually, I do want to say, what came to mind when you were talking, I just finished reading the book Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Gamu.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know
I've heard of that.
much.
Mhm.
So good, highly recommended. But at the end, I did an interview with her, and they talked to her like, how did this idea come out? And she's like, I actually had this small story about the the daughter in the book as an adult having a book who has Elizabeth Scott on the front cover, and she wasn't going to be the main character. But then she just like came back to it, because you write little segments. You're like, oh, that's an idea, and here's, you might write 500 words of idea, but then put it aside and not think about it for a few months or whatever. But then eventually she came back and she's like, I want to write about this chick. And I just find it so incredible because you were just kind of saying that it's like if you had this like fragment of an idea about one character and then rose into this whole other direction.
Oh yeah.
Which I guess is the fun of art, isn't it?
It's so cool how inspiration works. You get inspiration from inspiration. It is a really fun process, actually. It also is quite difficult to pinpoint the origin point for ideas sometimes, though.
Oh, 100%.
Because of that, it was an idea that came from an idea that came from an idea. But that is awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, Chloe, I mean, what are you
Yeah, what am
working
I
on
working
at the
on?
moment? What are your
So I am putting together a song. I'm releasing a single. I first recorded it and finished it at the beginning of the year, like March. But then uni and happened. And yeah, I recorded this song with this amazing Australian artist, Saint Ergo. She actually won the Victoria Music Awards. Last year she won a award at the event. And anyway, she's like classically trained. Found her, actually emailed her initially for another project, but then sent her like this demo idea I had for this song called Nervous System. Recorded it in her little home studio, and now finally getting all the marketing stuff, which I hate. I can't wait till I can afford to pay someone else to do all that stuff. Like I like designing the little pictures, but like the talking about yourself, being like, this is a great song about this, and
Well, that's what you're going to do now. You have the opportunity. Let's get some marketing in there. Yes.
Yeah, I need to type myself up a bit better. And then also, I'm writing the theme to this podcast at the moment. We are recording it, but I haven't finished the theme song. I've written like the chorus, bit because I want to write like a full song and then figure out the best segment that I like from that, because that's what I did with my other podcast. I wrote this kind of 2-minute song, and then I was like, okay, this is going to be the intro, and then I'm going to pull out some instruments to put underneath.
Is that a Frolicer's Guide you're referring to?
Yeah,
Yes.
hopefully getting this other song out, which hopefully I can talk about it more at the next episode.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Really excited to hear it and to hear the theme song. Yeah.
I'm now so obsessed with that Cara Emerald chick. I ended up listening to her whole discography, and I was like, "Oh my god! How did I not know any of her songs?" So thanks for the
I think
rec.
no, you are very welcome. Always happy to promote good artists like that. Yeah, I first heard her from, I think one of her songs made it to the Marvel series Agent Carter. And I love the vibe of that whole series. I love the 1940s, 50s sort of aesthetic. So yeah, when I heard that song and I realized it wasn't written in that time era, it's someone who was had defended in the modern world with modern everything. It just it sounds so great. It's got a lot of character, a lot of like sassy sort of vibes that
Loved it. Love. You are also, what you're also working on is a university student podcast, which is kind of like a how-to, and people send in questions. So I thought I would give you some practice and ask you some questions to answer and give advice.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gave you easy ones, okay?
All right.
So, what's the best piece of technology or an app that you wish you started using earlier?
Good question. Yeah.
I'll give you time to think. My one is text to voice AI thingamajiggy.
Oh, that is so helpful.
This year, and it means I can listen to my papers for uni, which are dense, politics, trade, wars, blah 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 blah,
Yeah.
and listening to it when I'm cooking stuff. It means I can listen to more than once, and then if there's a note, I'm like, oh, that's a good quote. I'll pause it, and then actually it writes down. Like, oh yeah, that's
It
good.
is great thinking, yeah.
I'm annoyed I didn't think about it. Think about using it.
Better late than never.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it is really helpful. I love text to audio and audio to text. Both of them are really very helpful. It does take the pressure off learning quite a bit. I mean, you still have to learn, but it's not upon you to make notes, and it's not upon you to have to read them while cooking, which I can imagine is a very difficult combination. So that is a great shout. No, it's very helpful. I mean, I have started using Quizlet, which is a website which takes notes. It can take entire lecture slides, analyzing those lecture slides and writing up study notes. And it can also write up quizzes
What?
and revision cards.
Based
Yeah, and
on
it's
a study
free.
note?
Yes, Quizlet.com. That's one thing. The other thing is Canva. I love Canva.
Oh, you're
I've been
so good at Canva.
only because I've been using it for the last 3 years. But it
I'm
has really.
using it, and I'm terrible. But you, the remember when I was doing the album cover, the album I was working on,
Mm.
and you just came and you were like, I'm gonna play around and do this, and you just did an amazing thing, and I was like, who are you?
I am the daughter of a graphic designer,
I could ever.
but it is a great piece of equipment. There are so many great apps out there.
Also, what's the name?
Honestly.
Alien. Canva.
Sorry? Canva? Really?
Alien woman. Yeah, she's from Perth.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Kudos to her. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Also, you did design the front cover for Trust Your Waffle. So, part of the Canva.
That was
This is not a sponsor, by the way. If Canva would like to sponsor us, please get in touch. But we certainly are not sponsored.
Canva, please sponsor us. I'd really like that. Could you sponsor my other podcast as well? Just sponsor my life. I'll go around wearing Canva t-shirts on a daily basis. Yeah, it's really very helpful as an app. I mean, and I do wish there was a student discount for the monthly. So yeah. But if Canva, if you are listening, if you can make a student discount, please, for media students like me, I'd really appreciate it. We all would.
Alrighty, we've already started asking for sponsors. This podcast is not brought to you by Canva yet.
Yes, that'll be how we begin this whole podcast.
All right, next question. What is the nicest compliment someone has ever given you?
I'm thinking, not because I don't get compliments. I'm not a sad, lonely person. I do have some people in my life that are lovely individuals who build me up. I'm just trying to work through what they've said.
Fun. So
yeah.
I'm thinking while you think.
Yeah, please do.
Was like last year or the year before, and I was so it's my current roommate. I think this was before I'd moved in with her, and I've been friends with her for a few years because we sing in the same choir. And you know, I was complaining about things and life and stuff like that. And she's like, "Gosh, Chloe, I'm so upset about hearing this. You're a compromised person. You don't deserve this. You're so lovely." And I was like, it just gave me this wave of like gratitude because I guess she was like empathizing with me and was there, but then just saying like, you know, when you're complaining about something, you're like, have I done the wrong thing? Am I in the wrong at all? Like, am I being reasonable about this? And she just was like, no, you did everything right. You are the nicest, loveliest person. And I was like, that is the nicest thing someone has ever said to me.
it's great to have people build you up and serve as reassurance because you get so lost in your own head sometimes, and you do need the outsider's pair of eyeballs sometimes to be able to report back to you and say, actually, you're okay. It is very reassuring. That's fantastic. I think for me, the nicest compliments I've got have come from like my mum and my sister and my dad, my brother. It's like the people really close to me because on the one hand, and I'm not saying this to sound egotistical at all. It's just a place of yeah, trust your level. I'm trusting it now. Yeah, when I started university, I was really very busy and I was doing lots of projects and it was great fun and I was cruising. It was difficult at times, but I was cruising. And I did get the occasional compliment from more than one individual to say, "Oh, you're such an inspiration." And that was a very strange compliment to get at first. It's like, well, I'm just doing me. But great. Like genuinely, I'm glad to have a positive impact on your life and to show to other people that you can do it as well. You can you can be busy like me. Yeah, so that was a compliment that I did get, which, is a fantastic one. But I think, like my youngest sister, I remember we once had like this really honest heart to heart. And I was talking to her about some of the stuff I've gone through just in life, hardships and trials and all that, bit of a rant. And then she wrote me a lovely letter afterwards to say, you're just such an incredible individual, and I think the things you've gone through have really strengthened the character, who you are. I feel really lucky to be your sister. And it was just such a lovely letter. I think that is definitely in the top three among compliments I've received from family members. And it's the compliments you get generally when you're at a low that pick you up. Yeah, I should really write a compliment book. I I think that needs to be a thing. Whenever someone compliments you, just make a little note of it. And when you're having those moments of self-doubt and not trusting your waffle, go back to see the things people have said, people who care about you, even strangers. And it's a good way to build yourself up.
Yeah, I do the opposite. When I have negative thoughts, I sometimes write them in a, this is getting deep, but I'll write them on post-it notes, like, because I've got one jar that's all my goals. Like, I'll write my goals on post-it notes and I have them on my wall. So I put that jar, so then when I'm feeling down, I have like, oh, I accomplished this, I accomplished that, because I think being busy, writing stuff, you forget to celebrate your wins. I have that, but then I also have one that's negative. So then I remember that jar. When that jar's full, all my negative things, I burn all those post-it notes as my,
Yeah.
I got through that thought. I got through it.
I like that. And you know what? There's something wonderfully symbolic about burning something down. I think there must have been an arsonist somewhere in my family because I love fire. I've never committed arson. I should just put that out there.
Do you have anything to add to the podcast?
Yeah,
I guess this is the episode.
Yes. Just thanks for listening. Thanks for bearing with our waffle. And hopefully it has been somewhat delicious. I know it has been for me to listen to the wonderful waffle of our brains. It's been great catching up with you, Chloe. And I mean,
until next time.
Yeah. If anyone has a question, feel free to reach out.
Sweet. All right. Until next time, have a good day. I am baking a cup of tea and go to bed.
Yes, I'm going to have a cup of tea and try to wake up.